Hey, it's Will at Will's Lock and Key again here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And we're about to bring you another episode, thank God. And this one here is on key making for a 2008 Subaru Impreza, the WRX model. It's a WRX STI. So it uses a high security key. It's laser cut. And what we're going to do is take this lock apart and decode it to make a working key, and then after that we'll cut and program the transponder key into the car. But a primary focus in this episode is to determine how to make the working key for this car. So let's see here. We're going to use a LXP90, which is the 8 cut internal type Lexus blank for this car. There's only one lock, one door lock on the car, and that's on the driver's side, so we took the lock off. But again, there's no codes on any of these locks. All of these STI models use a transponder, and when the vehicle was first made, left the factory, one key fit all of the locks. So since this vehicle doesn't have any keys, we're going to assume that the same key for the door will actually operate the ignition. And this LXP90 that we're going to use, it actually will work in the lock. It'll turn the locks. Now, of course, you see the groove down the middle there, and you go, oh, no, that won't work. Well, the dimensions of the key itself, the blade, are the same dimensions as that of the standard transponder key for the Subaru WRX. So we're not going to try to get all fancy. We're just going to cut a key. Now there's 4 depths, and the tumblers are split just like they are in a Lexus. So here we go. This lock cylinder has 5 chambers, and each one of those chambers, as I told you, as the tumblers are split, so the chambers are split. You have like a number 1 chamber, you have the right, and then you have the left side, and each one of those chambers has a different cut, or there's a different number of tumbler that's assigned to each one of those chambers. So what I do is I make up a little chart so that as I'm decoding the lock, I know what goes on what side of the key, so when I punch that information into my machine, we get a nice smooth cut, and we don't have to jack and mess around a whole lot. Okay, here's the lock completely disassembled. I left the tumblers in there, and I'll show you a better picture of those here in a moment. But this is the housing, and then we have the plug and your base cap, and you got the various other components here. I don't need to remind you of what those are. But this is the lock cylinder that's disassembled. Is that plug, and these are those tumblers that are split. You can see there's total pain in the yeehaw, but that's one of them right there that's pulled up, and as you can see, there's 5 chambers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, I guess I can count, huh? Anyway, I'm going to take these tumblers out of here, and we're going to decode this lock and do as we said we do, make a working key. I removed the first tumbler on the left side of the number 1 chamber, and as you can see, this is a better picture of how how these tumblers are configured and how they look. This is the part of the anti-theft or anti-picking. You got to have special picks to pick these locks to unlock or to manipulate the lock. This is a number 2, so our first step on the left side in chamber number 1 will be a 2. Okay, so we decoded the chambers, the tumblers in chambers 1, 3, and 5, and we're going to turn it over and do chambers 2 and 4, right and left respectively. Now, one thing you got to understand, okay, if you don't do these kind of cars all of the time, it may slip your memory, oh man, which one is right and which one is left. That's not a big problem, okay. First of all, make sure you got a nice clean work area to decode your lock, so that these little tumblers, they're small and the springs are even smaller. So you always want to be in a place where you can make sure that things are not flying all over the place. But as far as which side is right and which side is left, decode your lock cylinder, and if you make your first cut and your key doesn't work, hey, just swap sides with your numbers. You got the right numbers, just swap the sides. So it's no big problem. That's what you're doing anyways, making your first working key. Okay? Hopefully this video will help you to determine that and not have to use more than one test key. Here we go. So now we've completely decoded the lock cylinder, and we know what cuts we got to make on the left side of the key blank and what cuts we have to make on the right side of the key blank. Now we're going to go over to our handy dandy machine here, and we're going to cut one of these bad boys and see how it fits. Stand by. So now we're going to set our machine up here to cut this key. Now I could have taken those numbers and converted them to a key code using computer software, but we're going to go ahead and use a particular card here, and we're going to be doing, this is a Subaru, so here we go. We're going to actually insert the cuts that we're going to make, and for our first axis, we're going to do, let's see here, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, and then we're going to come down to the second axis and insert our cuts there. And then we're going to go ahead and put our key in and make the cuts. Now notice, before you begin to cut, you got to make sure that you're using the right cutter. Okay, this key and this configuration, you use the same cutter as you would use if you were cutting a Volkswagen or Audi key. So if you're not using the right cutter, then your spacing, the depths are going to be off and the key won't work. So make sure that when you're doing that cutting, or that before you cut, you make sure you got the right cutter in there. Baby whips. This thing whips. Woo-hoo. So now we've got our key cut. I put a paper towel behind it so you could look at the contour and look at how that key is actually cut. And we're not really concerned about that center groove, which we would use for a Lexus type of vehicle. But this is the way that key looks based on the decoded depths that I gave you earlier. Now, next thing I'm going to do is try it in the lock cylinder and make sure that we did the right thing. Now, remember, now if I didn't put them on the right side, the tumblers will not fall to an eccentric position in the plug. In other words, the plug won't spin in the cylinder. So here we go. Lock cylinder in my hand here, and I'm going to go ahead and take this key that we cut and put it in here. It's not all that easy because of the way these tumblers are designed. Oh yeah, we did good. We did good. See, they're all nice and flat. That's what you want. Now that's a working key. This is called a working key. This key will not start the car, but it will operate the locks on the car. And this is what you have to do first before wasting a bunch of money or spending a bunch of money for a programmable transponder key. Now that would be the next phase of this operation. Make the plug with the key in it to the cylinder, and we're going to test operate to make sure that everything is in fact good. Here we go. Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's how, man, I tell you, locksmiths, whoo, what would the world be without them? This lock back together here, so put the base cap on there. I'm going to go ahead and put the little plastic cover back on here. Snaps in place like that. Then we'll put the return spring on here. And I use a little screwdriver to help me get it over the hump. Once she's over the hump, then we'll put the pawl on. And the retainer clip. And once you get that in place, you're done. We'll do a little test stop here. Do your little visual inspection to make sure everything is all good and everything is back together. Check your hole lock out. Then do your test stop with the completely assembled lock. Key goes in, turns right and left. No sticky, no icky, no wicky. Man, we take pride in doing stuff that we do, so this is not something that you're going to do every day, but this is something that when you do it, you can do it right. I think I'm going to have some music for you after this also, so stand by. Another hot hit from yours truly. Stand by. Well, as you can see here, we inserted the cuts, and the actual code for this vehicle comes up to Tango 2249. Once again, here's the finished product here. Put a little background there so you can see the contour and check out the configuration of the key, blade itself. But this is the Subaru key that we were cutting, and now it's time to make the car go zoom zoom. Alright, hey, I told you I had some music for you, and you check it out.